Welcome to Talk Indonesia, the only place I'd be on Sunday mornings. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas. I'm Dalton Tananaka. Here is this week's TI Hot List. The late President Gus Dur, his gift. He left us a wonderful legacy. Have we been living up to his ideals? Sex for sale. You can buy physical pleasure just about everywhere in this country. Should it be legalized? And 2011 resolutions, what we want to see happen in the coming new year. And here to make sense of madness just about every week are Wimar Witoelar, former presidential spokesman and PR guru, and Rahayu Saraswati, Sarah, actress and businesswoman, just back from a 2-week working vacation.
Yes.
Good to have you back here. Now, hot topic number 1, living the legacy of Abdul Rahman Wahid. When Indonesia's 4th president died last December, he left behind more than a grieving family. The man popularly called Gus Dur, or Big Brother, did more to bring this country together than any other leader of his generation. His calls for a pluralistic Indonesia, one that tolerates and embraces all beliefs, are known internationally. One of his last legacies, the celebration of Chinese New Year, made legal only 9 years ago. And, you know, for those of us who grew up elsewhere in the world, that's kind of hard to believe. Just 9 years ago in a country of 10 million Chinese.
It was the event of my lifetime when, for the first time in my life, I watched a celebration of the Chinese dragon show in Indonesia with the president of Indonesia. It just gave me a very, very warm feeling.
I mean, it took courage to do it, right? I mean, you grew up not celebrating, just not seeing it as well.
No, definitely. I mean, I still remember, you know, the whole ruckus of 1998, and I'm just glad how far we've come along from that. And I think we have Gus Dur to thank for that, for his legacy.
Well, you know, Wimar, you were with him throughout his administration. I mentioned you were a presidential spokesman. It was his administration. You were there. For all his political shortcomings, which led to his downfall, he was quite clear in his human values, and that's what we remember about him.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I had counted on when I had joined him. I knew he was doomed politically, but I knew...
I mean, from the beginning, you knew he was doomed politically?
Yes, from the beginning when I joined him, because he was a stopgap candidate to fill in... because people didn't want a woman as a president. Anyway, that's a long story.
Right.
But he was supported by a group who later claimed political results, and he didn't give in to them. That's when I came in. But the politics are now in the distant past. What I remember is that Gus Dur taught us to be proud to be Indonesian. For the first time in my life, I could go to America, to Europe, and be very proud I'm Indonesian. No excuses, no
because
regrets.
Of the values he espoused.
Yes, because he had made the country democratic, honored Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, of course, and honored Chinese, Arabic, and just made us a very, very good country to be in.
I mean, you lived overseas. You went to school. I mean, did you feel that? I mean, like ashamed or embarrassed at policies before Gus Dur?
Well... That's the thing. It's like, as a younger generation, obviously we have a lot that we can complain about. But again, I actually know personally his daughter, Gus Dur's daughter, Mbak Yeni, and I think that, you know, that is also another legacy. Just seeing how she gets involved and how much voice she puts into how, you know, where we want this country to go.
No family can produce a woman like Yeni unless it's a very good family on the side of the public good. So we just have so much to be thankful for.
Okay, well, getting back to my point, are we really the pluralistic society we always make out to be? I think we're not quite there yet. For example, on Thursday, in the Jakarta Post, a new survey came out. Basically, it says 81% of respondents don't mind being friends with people in other religions, but 84% wouldn't want a family member to marry somebody outside their own faith.
I think when you're talking about religion, though, I mean, we had this conversation just a while back about religious intolerance. You know, unfortunately, in the religions themselves, or in the faiths, if that's starting to talk about, you know, subjective, you know, in the faith itself, it's a bit difficult. Okay, let me put it this way. When you're about to marry someone, you want to have someone who has the same values as you do.
Okay, so you're saying, so in public you can say one thing, in private it's a whole different thing, right?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, when you're... You're putting words in my mouth.
I mean, that's what this survey is saying. I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean... But,
remember the movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? You would accept a black guy in America even 50 years ago, but you wouldn't necessarily welcome to dinner or welcome him.
That was a different time.
It's one thing to say it is difficult to act on it.
But now there are still bigots in any country.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah, but what I'm talking about is that no matter what, the reality is that you still want someone with the same values. And when you're talking about faith or what you believe in, that's one of the strongest things that can drive a person in his or her life. And to have someone coming from outside, someone who has different values than you do, that's complicated.
Okay. Unless you're somebody like me whose values are not dictated by religion.
There you go.
Yeah, I will take somebody from any religion
that's
as long
different.
as they have the same humanistic values.
Yeah.
They have love.
Okay, this is we're getting
so
off.
that survey,
yeah, we're talking about
we're going off.
We're talking about marriage. Marriage is another subject, but let's get back to Gus Dur real quickly.
You know,
just personal anecdotes. I did interview Gus Dur when I was at CNN, and I found him to be a very likable man. We were very serious. They were in the big troubles in Ambon and all kinds of riots and fighting. And we started the interview. He said, well, before we start, I want to tell you a joke. And he told me this joke that I can't repeat. I mean, that was the kind of guy he was, right? Very easygoing, affable. When the camera went on, he was all business.
Yes, Gus Dur's jokes you cannot repeat because it's the storytelling as well as the story. But I have so many amusing,
Tell one quick one, then we got to move on.
My favorite story is when I had to leave office because it was getting too late, but things were quite, hectic in the office. I said, Gus Dur, I'm going home, but if you need me, you can always call me. Okay, so I left, and I left the palace. I was like 2 miles away. I got a call. He said, Pa Wimar, are you still in the palace? No, I've left, but I can come back if necessary. No, I just forgot I want to give you some otak-otak. So he wanted to give me some food, which he brought from the provinces. It's okay. He said, I'll keep it for you tomorrow. The next morning, I came to a cabinet meeting, and the otak-otak was there on my desk. Touching.
Very conscientious. All right. Abdurrahman Wahid, simple man or saint?
Simple man, great man. I'm not authority to anoint anyone as saints.
All right. Sarah, simple man or saint?
I agree with that. Simple man, simply because he is a man.
All right. TalkIndo will continue shortly with the perennial debate over the business of sex. Why shouldn't it be legalized? That's next.